You have to be aware that beef prices continue to be unacceptably low. I'm sure you're going to tell me about the leadership the task force is providing, the agreement in principle to support the PGI application and the Board Bia market price index, but the reality is the task force is a talking shop. It is unclear exactly how PGI will benefit farmers, and there are significant ongoing low prices, so farmers aren't seeing any benefits during one of the hardest years ever, and Brexit is around the corner. What do you say to criticisms from farming organisations on the task force's slow pace and lack of meaningful engagement with farmers?
Thank you, Deputy Minister, please.
Thank you, Chairman Farrell, and thank you, Deputy Cairns, for your question. I am disappointed at the outset to see the negative approach you're taking to the development of a PGI application for grass-fed Irish beef, and I don't think it reflects the positive dimensions of that particular initiative and what it can actually mean in terms of being able to try and promote our beef more abroad and ultimately try and add value to it. The Beef Task Force, which you referenced, was established to provide the leadership to develop a sustainable pathway for the future of the beef sector. The task force provides a very robust implementation structure for commitments entered into in the beef sector agreement of the 15th of September last year, and it does have timelines and includes a strong stakeholder engagement. And to be clear, Deputy Cairns, the majority of the membership of the task force are farmer representative bodies, and they are there to reflect and represent farmers' interests, and they certainly do so very robustly. There have been 6 meetings of the task force to date, and the next meeting is scheduled to be held later this month. And I note that the work has continued steadily towards fulfilling all the actions of the agreement, despite the COVID-19 crisis, which added a further layer of complexity and a significantly challenging working environment for the task force. Full details of the actions, progressive updates and meeting minutes are available on the Department of Agriculture website. As part of the agreement, 3 specific consultancy studies, all of which relate broadly to market transparency, were commissioned. While these reports are behind schedule due to the challenges presented by COVID-19, my understanding is that they are progressing well, and 2 of the studies, one on competition law and the other on market and customer requirements, will be discussed at the next task force meeting. I am pleased to have the opportunity to address the task force. I was pleased to have an opportunity to address them in September, and at that I emphasised that constructive and meaningful engagement across this group is essential to maintaining and developing the sector in a sustainable way, which adds value at all stages of the supply chain, but particularly and importantly for the primary producer. I believe, Deputy, that the sector can rise to many challenges facing it, and that the task force has an important role to play in this, and look forward to seeing continuous strong engagement from the task force as its work progresses.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Cairns.
The negativity that you point out, I'm expressing in relation to the PGI in terms of how it can actually benefit farmers, not in relation to the bigger picture that you're painting. And I think the kind of broad reaction is that this is about them. The reason we can get a PGI is because of their practices, but it isn't benefiting them themselves. And that's the negativity. I think it's important to point that out. In relation to the task force, farmers feel they are being sidelined again in the process. Just 2 weeks ago, the Irish Cattle and Sheep Farmers Association wrote to the Beef Task Force Chair demanding more urgency and expressing their frustration at a lack of engagement on Brexit. Farmers are consistently pointing out low prices, in the past protesting about them. They're getting compared to UK prices. They're raising concerns that the processors are not holding up their end of the beef sector agreement and waiting for a response from your department. The task force has been in place for over a year now, and practices like the 4 movement and 30-month rules and insurance deductions still haven't been addressed. Fairer prices are in the national interest. We should be protecting those interests, not those of beef barons. Fair prices would keep people on the land. Fair price would offer the next generation opportunity to stay on the land, and fair prices would support a rural and social economy. We need a significant change in our response to this.
Minister, please.
Thanks, Deputy Cairns. So listen, coming out of the Beef Task Force of September last year, there were 37 separate actions in the agreement that was signed, and of these 20 have now been completed, 6 are in progress, and 1 still is to be commenced, while 10 are ongoing actions which are continuing. I think I'll go back to the initial point I made, that the task force is composed of farmer representative organisations primarily. And they have got fully behind, for example, the PGI grass-fed application, which I have recently submitted to Europe. It was agreed with consensus and with the full support of the Beef Task Force. And the reason the farmer representatives signed up to that is because they do see the merit in terms of actually going down that route. And of course, we have to push it and advocate and market it in a way, hopefully after it's successful, that does deliver for farmers on the ground and deliver in terms of beef prices. I think certainly it is a very strong forum in terms of actually representing beef farmers going forward, Deputy Cairns, and I certainly will continue to work closely with it to ensure it is effective. Thanks.
Deputy Cairns.
Like I said, Minister, I don't reject the idea or the prospect of the PGI status. I think it's important. My point was that how does it benefit farmers? We still haven't realised how that's going to happen. And the core issue remains the industry is out to get as much profit as possible and continues to give low prices to farmers, treat workers poorly, and this is facilitated by government after government. And we have an opportunity to change now. We have new ministers. The scale of COVID-19 outbreaks in meat plants illustrated existing underlying issues in the sector. Before the pandemic, we were all aware of the unsustainably low prices, and now we have a clearer picture of the horrendous conditions that people are working in. These two things are intrinsically linked. They speak to how the industry treats people, workers and farmers. During the summer, the German Agriculture Minister pointed out that low prices do not fit with sustainability. She linked low prices with pressures on animal welfare, working conditions in meat processing plants and farmers' incomes. It's obvious that there are clear parallels to be drawn here and they need to be addressed. Minister, to resolve the many issues and injustices in this sector, you need to tackle the power and privilege given to the meat processing sector, and you need to do it now.
Minister, your final reply.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Cairns. I can assure you, Deputy Cairns, that I am absolutely committed to doing everything I can as Minister to support our farmers and to support a fair income for them. That's why I worked very strongly with the Beef Task Force to actually with the farming organisations to move forward the PGI, and that's obviously something we have to get approval for at European level and then ensure in time that we work to have it benefit farmers. It's also why for the first time through that Beef Task Force I've also secured and allocated €6 million specifically to develop a suckler beef brand, which I believe is really important in relation to trying to better promote our suckler beef sector. Also, I'd point you back to the most recent budget where I secured an 11% increase over last year's budget, specifically to go towards farmers and support schemes which underpin their income. And that was very, very significant for them, and I think was very widely welcome for them as well. And another key initiative I have as Minister is to actually introduce a food ombudsman to actually try and bring more price transparency into the food supply chain to ensure that that there is a mechanism in place where we can trace what's happening in international markets, where our produce is being sold to try and ensure that the price is being delivered back to farmers at farm gate level.
Thank you, Minister.